was one victim statement that was given on Friday. Court indicated the court would not and did not consider that in the ruling on the motion for to reduce the verdict. Are there any additional victim statements that victims wanted to make at this time?
Yes, Your Honor, there's 6 of them.
All right.
And Your Honor, Mr. Merritt would also like to give a statement, whatever the court feels is the proper time for that.
Sure. Okay, go ahead. They can come up and give their statements.
We'll have Tracy Russell.
I don't know how I could ever explain the impact this man's had on our family.
I'm going to have to ask you to try to speak a little bit louder. If you want Ms. Rodriguez to read it for you, you can have her read it.
What's that? I don't know that I could ever explain the impact that this man has had on our family. This trial has been excruciatingly painful. We will never recover from these evil acts. We are scarred for life. It takes but a memory, a thought, a song, seeing or hearing something that has to do with him to rip this one open time and time again. Our families have been and will continue to suffer long after this day is done. It's been almost 10 years, and the pain hasn't subsided. Being unaware of where they had their bodies, to the horrific day they discovered the bodies buried in shallow graves in a desert, waiting for your arrest. Waiting for what was supposed to be a speedy trial because of your supposed health issues. You selfishly prolonged this trial time and time again, making us unable to move forward with our... Instead, we are reliving this nightmare over and over again, while you visit and correspond with lawyers, friends, and family. Our families have already been given a life sentence of never again. We will never be with Joey, Summer, Gianni, or Joseph again. Never again in our lives will we hear their voices. Never will we spend holidays, birthdays, anniversaries, or just be able to get together and talk and share our lives. Never will we see their smiles, hear their laughs, voices, and we'll never have new memories together. Our children won't grow up together. We won't age together. In one heinous and revolting act of hate, Charles Merritt took 4 beautiful people from us forever. Having to sit here and see and hear what you did to them has been atrocious. The contempt and anger and hate you had for my sister is repulsive. Why? She saw through your deceit and narcissism. My sister walked and lived with a purpose and a passion. She was our bossy big sister, a daughter, a a wife, a mother, an aunt, and a friend. She expected the utmost from all of us. She was brave, she was smart, she was funny, and yes, territorial of all whom she loved, even with her faults. She's none of the horrible things she's been made out to be all these years. She was my sister, my biggest fan growing up, sometimes even my worst critic. She rooted my brother and I in everything we did. You took one and only with the recollection and knowledge of our childhood and youth memories. My first friend. Every day there are reminders of her, of us, and of them. It kills me to my soul that we will never have them in our lives again. We had our last conversation February 4th, 2010. They were planning to come and meet my newborn son. We were supposed to have a slumber with the boys. My son will never have the opportunity to know them, or create memories growing up with his cousins. He'll never know or create everlasting memories with his Auntie Summer or his Uncle Joey. Losing Joey, Summer, Gianni, and Joseph is indescribable. There's no way to express the emptiness and the pain. I replay our last conversation over and over again. Have you lost something? With all the would've, could'ves, and should'ves, I shudder and ache knowing what you did to them. You took their lives so violently. You sit there with zero remorse or accountability. After you heinously murder my sister, her husband, and my innocent nephews, there's no justification or comprehension for what you've done. To see how your actions have devastated and destroyed my mother, knowing there's nothing I can do to alleviate her daily pain and suffering. You murdered her firstborn daughter, her son, and her 2 grandchildren. She now suffers depression, anxiety. She's been hospitalized numerous times, twice over this last summer. Unable to get a hold of her emotions, to see and hear her cries and her suffering, to see her grief-stricken. You've sentenced her to a life of grief. She couldn't even endure the pain of continuing to come to this trial. You left my beautiful nephew Jonah fatherless. You violently murdered his father and his brothers. There's a hole in his heart that none of us will ever be able to fill. Through the years up to now, I've received emails, read blogs, social media posts, slandering my family, the victims, and I've read to address them all. I've been asked for statements to be part of books, television shows, and movies. For what? Our outcome won't change. I'm haunted for being so emotionally unstable I wasn't even able to speak at their services. We were tormented for years of not knowing, and years of waiting. I'm forever grateful to the motorcyclist who called in what he thought to be human remains. That call led us here. Justice is finally being served for Joey, Summer, Gianni, and Joseph. Although this doesn't mean we get them back, or anyone wins. I have sat behind the murderer's family. With my family. He still hasn't admitted what he's done. Who hides behind attorneys. Who I am appalled at for wanting this man to hurt other innocent people. Yet I feel strongly for his children, who are innocent and have also lost their father. For that I am truly sorry, and I empathize for their pain and their loss and their suffering. I want to express my gratitude to everyone behind the scenes for bringing this man to justice. Britt, Melissa, Sean, and Ryan at the forefront for being diligent, kind, and informative. I would not have been able to navigate through this legal, devastating, emotional trial. Ella, who sat by my side every day since January 7th, constantly encouraging me and guiding me every step of the way. I'm grateful to all the detectives, Hanky, Bachman, Fisher, Avila, Gaffney, and all those behind the scenes. Your passion for justice, your skill, your hard work, your perseverance, dedication, and kindness. To me and my family all these years, leading up to and during this trial. The jury for your guilty verdict, your civic duty and mighty sacrifice for being here and having to see and listen to what this man has done. My husband's family and friends who stood by me, helped me with my son, and made it possible for me to be in court, to see this man brought to justice. There are still so many unanswered questions. Knowing what I do will hurt and devastate me for the rest of my life. I've gone to therapy hoping to alleviate some of my grief. I know now this grief isn't something I will get past. It's a pain I'll live with and endure for the rest of my life. It isn't something that gets easier with time. It gets worse. The longing, wanting hurt the more as time passes. I miss them in my life more and more, wondering what it would be to still have them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate your comments.
Now we have Miss Susan Blake here.
Yes, thank you.
I'm here today to finally speak to you, Judge Smith, about my beautiful family. This horrible, horrific act of brutal violence that destroyed my family. How do I begin to explain the pain, the suffering that we've gone through for almost 10 years due to this nightmare? It's just a nightmare. The day my son had to tell me that they found him in the desert, I felt like a boulder hit my chest. The shock was unbearable. And then he had to go call Heather so Joey's son would know. And the hard part was he had to go home and look at 3 daughters who were very young and explain that they would never see Uncle Jojo again and they have gone to heaven. My granddaughters were young. It affects every age and everyone. This despicable, evil monster had brutally beat my family. How could you beat 2 precious little babies? How scared were they? Jay's crying for mommy and daddy. You had a choice. Chase, you are a low-life coward and a baby killer, and labeled that. Just a monster. They were beautiful little boys who never had a life, never got to ride a bike, play sports, go to school, be a teenager to learn to drive a car, or go surfing with their dad. And Summer loved her boys. You deserve the sentence the jury came to. You deserve to go to prison, and I hope that you look over your shoulder and be scared just like my grandsons. I have waited almost 10 years. These jurors went through so much and then finally heard the words guilty. I respect and am grateful for your decisions. and they are my angels. I am grateful to Sean, Britt, Melissa, and Ryan, and the team that we don't meet, that worked so many years to put you behind bars. You deserve to pay for what you did to Joey, Summer, Gianni, and Chubba. You deserve to suffer like my family and Summer's family has suffered. We will never hear their voices, laughs, only on videos. I feel sorry for your children, knowing what their father has done and been convicted for. It is a sad day for everyone. Joey was a kind, generous, easygoing son. His family did not deserve this, and now I know they are all together in heaven. The boys are sliding down rainbows, Joey's surfing the clouds, and poor Summer's chasing after them. They are all together and will always be in our hearts forever. This is where I go and talk to my family. This is their gravesite, and anyone is welcome to go there and say prayers. Joey had a surviving son named Jonah, and he was only 12 years old when this nightmare started. He thought his dad left him, and he's gone through a lot of pain, has had a lot of counseling, and has suffered so much. But he will be speaking later today. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate your comments.
Your Honor, Mr. Albert Vergara would like to address the court.
Sure.
Yes, thank you. I too am a very emotional person. Just gonna try to go through this. Your Honor, I'd like to thank you for just presiding over this case so diligently as you have. The prosecution, you gentlemen and ladies did a phenomenal job in being organized and presenting your case very well. The jurors who are present and those that are not, thank you for the time and attention that you gave this case. I am Summer's former husband. She and I were married when we were very young. We were married for 7 years. So first I want to talk about gratitude. I'm grateful for having been able to tell Summer that I was sorry for my part in the dissolution of her marriage. At the time when I thought I was being encouraging to her, I was actually kind of depleting her self-esteem. What I didn't realize at the time was that she was very vulnerable. She wasn't actually quite as confident as she thought she was, or as she put on, I should say. She was very intelligent. She used to read a tremendous amount, but she may have felt that she could not live up to my personal expectations. Therefore, I was happy to have let her know that I had learned from my naivete. Many years later, I saw Summer just down the street from where I work. How unusual that was, because I rarely leave my building on my work day. Divine intervention is beautiful, Jason. I'm glad I was able to see her and her brother Kenneth, and her son Gianni, and his baby brother-to-be still in her belly. We exchanged pleasantries, and we went on our way. But as I reflected back on that incredible and unusual meeting, because it was just so rare that I would even be on the street, I remember thinking how wonderful it was that she found love, and that she was building a family, and I was happy for her. The next time I heard of anything about Summer was that she and her family had gone missing. I now can't remember how I learned of her disappearance, but the anguish one feels from not knowing is something that I won't forget for the rest of my life. I just felt deep compassion for the families. A major worry came over me. It was all just so strange. It's completely gone. Before the bodies were found, part of the inner turmoil is how one's imagination runs wild. Our current culture is to seek answers online, and unfortunately, we inevitably encounter the internet trolls out there that seem to have it all figured out. From the personalities of the victims to what they believe that the victims are capable of. Now when I say victims, I mean Joseph and Summer, and Gianni and Joe Jr. Let's not depersonalize this by calling them the victims. I learned at the funeral that Joseph, because I didn't know him personally, was a great guy. Always wanting to give of himself, mentor people. He was a good friend, it seemed like, and obviously a good husband. You can tell by the support of the family, just a good man altogether. And I'm grateful that Summer had met him. Her judge of character was spot on, as it was back when we were young. Her judge of character was spot on when she met you, Chase. Charles. I guess she didn't like you. Right? Now, she was difficult. Absolutely true. But she was also great. When you were with her alone, she was wonderful. When others were involved, she felt the need to put up her wall. But I don't believe she was mean-spirited. She had an incredible need to keep certain people at arm's length. One time, when Summer and I were young, we were discussing what we wanted to do when we died. It's the kind of romantic thing you say, when you're young. She said to me, I want you to play this song at my funeral. It's Norman Greenbaum's Spirit in the Sky, and these are a couple of the lyrics that were important at that time. I told her that I would play that for her, never thinking that I would outlive her. At the funeral, I didn't have the courage to stand up and speak at her behalf. I later told Tracy that I wasn't sure if it was appropriate for me to do that. And her response to me was, what the hell is appropriate anymore? When I thought about what I wanted to say to you, I thought about being vulgar to you, but you'd expect that. You just sit there looking at me like you were watching TV, still disconnected from what you have done. And then I thought, because of my heart, that I would kill you with kindness and make a statement that I forgive you. But I'm not able to do that. I don't forgive you. So instead, I want to psychologically mess you up. Human beings compartmentalize trauma, and I want to wake up that suppression in you. Every time you hear a sound in prison or in a movie that is similar to the sounds that you made that day when you murdered a family, I hope it rings loud in your ears. And that those sounds haunt you, Chase. I want those sounds to trigger a memory to the point that you are unable to suppress it. Come on, Chase. Aren't you tired, man? Aren't you tired? Just stop all the appeals, all the shenanigans. Don't worry, your fate will be way less tragic than that of the family you murdered. No one will cause you for the physical pain you cause Joseph or Gianni or Joe Jr. No one is going to beat you or break your jaw the way you beat Summer and broke her jaw, my ex-wife. And I loved her. Even though I couldn't marry her, I loved her once, I'll always love her. How could I not? No one is going to beat you, you'll just slip into unconsciousness. Be brave, ask for forgiveness from the only entity that can give it to you, and that is God Almighty. I'm sad for you, I'm really sad for your family. I'm sad that my family ever met you.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments.
Your Honor, Mr. Michael McStay would like to address the court.
Sure.
Hi, Your Honor. November 13th, 2013, I left a mark. That was the day Sergeant Smith and Detective Steers told me they found the bodies. Excuse me. But the jury has spoken. And even though darkness in this man tried to overcome the light of my family, the light will always overcome the darkness. My mother, my father lost a son, a daughter-in-law, two grandsons, and left one behind. Having to watch my mother bury them. So unnatural. So unnatural. Not natural causes. There was intent here. It's disturbing. It was devastating. And my brother had to, my nephew had to grow up without a father. Although he had one heck of a stepdad, but not as his dad. And there were birthdays, there were Thanksgivings, there were family time, no Christmas, no kids smiling. No more. My own, it didn't just mark me that day. It marked my kids. My bonus kids, never got to meet them. My adopted kids, never got to meet them. You cannot get back time. There's nothing more valuable on this earth than time. And that was stolen from them. It was stolen from us. I never got to meet my lovely wife. This world was robbed of four beautiful souls. My brother was, I looked up to my brother, sir, Your Honor. I'll never get another conversation with him, like my mother said, and like my father said. If I want to go speak with them, I have to go to a gravesite. No more surfing, no more anything. I was going to read a song that he wrote to me when I moved to Kauai back in '95. I actually wanted to also play a video. We can do it. I just don't want us to forget what this is all about. It's not even really about us that were left behind to pick up the pieces. It was about those 4 innocent people and the lives that they had to live and never got to live, and the potential there. And so this is the kind of person my brother Joseph was. He wrote this song, Brothers Who Follow the Sun, but he said son was S-O-N, not S-U-N. He said, through the same womb brought into this world, beating to a different beat, different flavors swirled. You are my companion, to love, to live, to share. Follow me in my footsteps beyond what I would dare. I wouldn't change it for the world, because you're my only one. Brothers who follow the sun. I led you down a dark road, death and decay, a place our souls were anchored, a place of angel shame. Then the heavens opened up and brought us into the light, freeing us from blindness, grace, restoring sight. This kind of person he was. It was this whole thing is a bad deal. it's I'm not a gambler, but it's a pretty poor exchange rate. We lose 4 beautiful souls for one to remain. One that's heartless, a man that is the face of evil. He's unrepentant. He lacks a conscience. He's conscience deprived. He's non-apologetic. And he's merciless. He was a lifelong criminal. But I won't waste any more time on him. I just want to read one verse, maybe 2 from the Bible, if that's okay. One is my life verse that actually my brother showed me one time. It said, therefore we do not lose heart, though our outer man is decaying. Our inner man is being renewed day by day. For momentary light affliction is producing for us an eternal weight of glory, far beyond all comparison, while we look not at the things which are seen, but unseen, because that which is seen is temporal, the unseen is eternal. So I will waste no more time, no more words on this man. He's not worth my time. He's not worth their time. He stole their time. He's not worth it. So this final verse is 1 John says, this is a message we heard in him and announced to you. God is light. There's no darkness at all. If we say we have fellowship with him, yet walk in darkness, we lie and do not live by the truth. So I walk away from this time, Your Honor, just knowing that I will meet Summer, the boys, Joey again. They're in the great cloud of witnesses. And I know that they've spoken. They've rendered a verdict. So I'm asking you not to reduce the sentence. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate your comments.
Your Your Honor, Galen McStay would like to address the court.
I'm Galen McStay, speaking as the wife of Michael McStay, Joey's brother. More importantly, I am an unashamed follower of Jesus, and that's why I stand here today. I'm speaking on what could have been. Loss is not just what was, but what could have been. As you see in our wedding picture above, we're missing two that fit right in between purity that aren't there because they weren't there with us. What could have been because of the choice that you, Charles Merritt, made to brutally murder my husband's family. We are forced to now live in the continuous what could have been state of loss. Through marriage, I have a brother-in-law and a sister-in-law and two beautiful nephews. But because of you, Chase, they reside in heaven, not here with us. There's really no possible way to describe the impact, the horrendous, violent crimes, the murders of my family as Mike's wife has had on our lives and the lives of all of our family. It's truly indescribable, but I will make an attempt. My husband had to propose to me on bended knee in front of a gifted memorial bench for Joey and Summer and Gianni and Chubba that's directly up above the street from our own home. The front of the memorial bench reads, "Riding the Waves of Heaven." My husband should have been able to propose to me at that same spot overlooking the surf at sunrise, but then been able to run down those steps at 204s with a board under his arm to go catch waves and share his good news with his big brother. Two brothers that followed the sun in the light of the sun. Instead, I just had to imagine it that way. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of what could have beens in our life as Joey's sister-in-law. Most every moment of every celebration we have is counteracted with the realization of the loss of Joey, who is not there to share it with. Just like this family picture you're looking at. Everything in our lives from now on is always bittersweet. There's always happiness, always sadness mixed in with it. Our lives in San Clemente, where Joey lived, worked, and served at the constant reminders of his absence constantly surround us. We can't escape it. Mike lives in the constant what was. They ate together there, they surfed together, they worked together, they birthday parties with their families together at the park. I walk our Husquita, Kuma, little bear, in honor of Bear, on the beach and envision what it would be like to watch our daughter Faith and Joey surfing out front together, their smiles, their long, thick, wavy hair. But then I wake up to realize that's never going to happen because you killed him. And you robbed her of knowing her uncle and enjoying her Uncle Joey. What about how it impacts my mama's hearts for all of our sons, Caleb, Noah, and Christian, who are all like their cousin Jonah, the surviving son of Joey, in different ways. Handsome, the curly hair, responsible, gifted musically and in photography, intelligent, respectful, insightful, compassionate old souls, which tells me they are like their Uncle Joey, but they have to settle for stories because their Uncle Joey, instead of his presence and influence on their lives, you took from them. My heart breaks for what could have been for our bonus children, Freedom and Ezekiel, who entered America without 4 family members to greet them and know them and invest in them. They would have had the love and influence from Joey and their Auntie Summer. This summer when Zeke surfed and paddled out all on his own in the lineup, catching waves and hooling and howdying out loud, it should have been with his 2 cousins. Instead, it was alone. Gianni and Joey Jr. were not there by his side because you murdered his cousins. Freedom and Faith and Ezekiel also have an eye for sea glass binding that they could have done with the boys right in front of the house on the beach where they lived.
but you brutally murdered 2 innocent children instead. What about the other 2 children, Shekinah and Bella? Shekinah also serves as athletic, and Marbella Grace, who's athletic but also shares her Uncle Joey's humor and mischievous side. They only have a handful of memories because they were only 6 and 9, and you took time away from them and left them with small memories. Or Purity, who is only 3 and wants to have her own memories to live on, but who mostly speaks of growing up under the perpetual sadness of her dad, who told me at 9 years old, "Thank you for making my dad smile and laugh again. Maybe this is what he was like before he missed his brother Joey." I am not responsible for the impact your crimes against my bonus children's father family, but I am left with bearing the brunt of trying to navigate it all with them. What impact your violent, cowardly murders had on my husband's family in other ways besides our 9 blessings and all the lives that you've ruined and all the could-have-beens we live in their absence? In the words of my daughter, I've had to carry a burden of pure evil on my shoulders because of someone who murdered your husband's brother. Since being with Mike, it's like you've gone through it every single day with trauma. There's so many days every single year because Joey is so special that many, many, many days correlate to him and his death in some way. The words of our friend that Mike has been in a constant state of loss and grief for an entire decade. In the middle of it all, you stepped into a grieving family, dealt with intolerable pain while trying to put one foot in front of the other and keep it together. You fell in love and got married, but all along there's this huge subterranean pit of grief underlying and affecting your relationship. Being by Mike's side, watching him process grief, absorb the weight of all the pressure, the media, the constant questions when we are out, our last name is mentioned, are you that family that went missing, and then the family that was killed by their own friend? The disruptions of, I am sure, well-meaning people, but who have no boundaries and contact him on family time and holidays because they follow the case on social media and feel that they are our real friends, going on interviews with him and having people bring up horrific details as if it's just a story, but the gruesome and brutal details of the crimes that you committed are his family. It's not just a Netflix documentary to us. The details are shocking and nauseating to sit through. The constant phone calls and questions while we're trying to have what is a, quote, normal life with our blessings. The pressure in being the only living son, the pressure to continue getting up, showing up, and running his own business to provide, and so much more. All of this without his sounding board in Joey. Mike is protected by nature. I've seen the frustration and anger for not being able to protect his family from these monstrous acts of violence you did against them. I constantly live in between not knowing what to say, when to say something, and when not to say anything. And it can change depending on the trigger or the memory of Joey. Joey's kindness, his general heart, and his generosity. The loss is just too insurmountable. I can't do it. I can't articulate it. You took what could have been decided to keep a family, but on your actions to act like a coward of all cowards by taking your rage out on a 5'4", 110-pound sister-in-law of mine. Summer and I would have loved raising our cousins together. She was strong. She was protective. She loved her man and her boys fiercely. I admire her, and I get that. She also had influence on Joey and was discerning and not easily manipulated. You obviously hated that, Chase. Being exposed to the evil details and pictures of your monstrous and rageful acts of violence against Summer devastated me as a woman. Being in your presence in this courtroom after these details expose you for the monster you are caused great anxiety for me. I have never been exposed to such an evil person in my presence, and then to go home to my beautiful daughter and have to think about training her in self-defense and exposing her to what kind of people are really out there was a horrible thing to do and live with. You brought evil into our innocent world. I feel bad for the horrendous legacy you have left your own children, burdened with and forever changed by too. God have mercy and grace on them for all of that. Due to the tragedy you inflicted on our family, the duration of the ongoing trial, all the emotional ups and downs, the waiting from your delays and postponements on your side, the scheming, the deception, the lies, the evil details, the financial loss and strain on us, the injury to the jury, the payments of needed counseling, frustration of being able to afford the ongoing counseling we need, the unredeemable and undeniable loss of quality family time can never be brought back. Driving to San Bernardino, the juggling of us trying to satisfy and keep our customers running with our own businesses the entire time, you don't care about. I felt like I was drowning in the evil you exposed our lives to. Your lack of character, everything we sat through that exposed us. Because of your action to murder my husband's family, the sadness, the pain, the emptiness, the anger, and all the what could have beens have impacted us forever. I was robbed of what was supposed to be our joyful newlywed honeymoon stage the last couple years. We never got a honeymoon due to the trial's delays and postponements and so forth. Instead, we found ourselves fighting over our inherited God-given joy in honor of Joy and Summer and the boys to be here at court. We will navigate through the what could have beens, the kind of loss with our beloved family members, with the help of the Lord and the loved ones that are willing to stay with us through the uncomfortable and unrelatable circumstances you have caused in our lives, knowing that we will see them again in heaven. That is the hope that anchors our soul. However, we did get a vindication day on earth, my husband and I. Mike and I took our little bear with us to the desert where you discarded our family's bodies and thought that you got away with the murders. So much so that you actually took people back to the shallow graves you put them in, pretending to be grieving, when in fact you were gloating like the sociopath you are. I cannot express the emotions of tearing down the crosses and shoveling every stone of remembrance away, dismantling and demolishing every remnant of the continuation of your evil crimes with the support of close friends, all through sweat and tears. It was surreal reading the signs people left behind in honor of our family, saying that justice was finally served for the McStay family, all the while looking up to see the watchful eye of the infamous tower above that placed you in the desert. There's been vindication, there's been justice, truth prevailed, light overcame darkness. Their voices were heard, they were not silenced. Mike and I released 4 doves at the site, representing the Holy Spirit in the lives of Joey and Summer, the innocence of Gianni and Chubba, and the freedom for all 4 of them, since they are in the presence of God. God help you.
Thank you, ma'am, I appreciate your comments.
Your Honor, there's one remaining, Jonah McStay. I'd like to address the court.
My name is Jonah McStay, and I am the son of Joseph McStay. Throughout my life, I have often lived in the shadow of losing my father, stepmom, and 2 little brothers. Sometimes, just seeing another boy with their dad reminds me of the tremendous loss I have endured. Despite this, through healing, discovering my strength, and persevering, I have strived to live a life these family members would be proud of. I fight each and every day to mend the wounds left by someone who, instead of healing, sought to destroy others, my family, for their own personal gain. It is my deepest desire in my own life to not spread pain or suffering, but end the cyclical and often generational hurt that gets passed along as people lie, ignore their responsibilities, and deceive themselves until they are engaged in the kind of evil we have heard about in this courtroom. It has been so powerful to see my family come together and rally behind one another. And I hope people know that with help
therapy, the God of their understanding and support, even if it's just by one person. They too can heal from horrible situations. Ultimately, I hope to be a father one day. And when I am, I will hold my children close, closer still because I know what it's like to lose people I love. But I will also hold them close because I now know what it's like to love, cherish, and experience reconciliation in ways I never thought possible. My deepest gratitude to everyone who fought for justice for my family. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, I appreciate your comments. We'll take a 10-minute recess before continuing with the sentencing matter.